welcome to episode 36 of the Graceful Tangle podcast. I'm Amy Kate, a young but passionate knitter and crocheter. You can find all of the links to my various social media platforms in the description box below, as well as a link to the show notes for this episode. So if you have any further questions about what I'm talking about, you can refer to those show notes. But if those don't answer your question, please don't hesitate to reach out to me in the comments below or on my other platforms. I am more than happy to help you out in any way I can. I am so excited to be back with you guys today with a new podcast episode. I love that you guys love watching these so much, and they are probably my favorite videos to create just because I can talk about all of my projects the entire time, and it is just so much fun. So we're going to hop right into it today because I have quite a few things to share with you guys, starting with a few finished objects. Alrighty, I am so excited today because I have multiple finished objects to share with you guys. Despite this being my first week back at school, I have done quite a few things, which is super awesome. So we're going to hop right into it. The first finished object that I have are my dad's socks. So these are the socks that I knit for my dad for his birthday. His birthday was a couple days ago. It was January 15th. So I actually sneakily stole them back so that I could share these on the podcast, and then I'll put them back in his room or whatever. But yeah, I absolutely love how these socks turned out. He loves them so much, which makes me so happy. He's already worn them, and they were just so much fun to knit. I can't wait to make another pair. So the pattern that I used is the Heel Toe Do-Si-Do sock pattern by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. I just love the pattern. It was so easy to follow. It took me a little bit of time just to memorize the repeat, but as soon as I got that down, it was super, super simple. And it's literally just a two-row repeat. Like, it is so easy. It just took a little bit to kind of like really figure out how to read my knitting and figure out where I was in the pattern. But yeah, it was super simple, and I love knitting these for that reason. Now, last week I talked about the fact that I've had this yarn for so many years, and I couldn't remember what it was called. The ball band. I thought I kept it, and I know I did actually for a long time, but I think I must have thrown it away a little while ago, and so I tried to look it up because I got a few questions about what yarn this was. So I think it is Barocco Comfort, I believe, is what the yarn is called. I don't know the colorway name. I found it in an Etsy shop, and I found this specific colorway. So I know it's there and it exists, and that's what the yarn is called. But I don't know the colorway name. I couldn't go that far. The Etsy seller didn't go into that much detail. So either way, these turned out so great, and I really enjoyed using the yarn. I'm kind of bummed that I don't have more of it, honestly. But I have plenty of other yarns to choose from, so that's totally okay. Now, one modification that I made to these socks and to my dad's other pair of socks that I knit him for Christmas. So I knit the size medium according to the pattern. So I cast on 64 stitches, and followed the pattern. Follow the toe for that and the cuff, etc. But for the heel, I actually went up to the size large, which is the 72 stitch count. So if you are familiar with sock knitting and if you know how a heel flap and gusset works, something that I have really come to realize is that the heel flap, typically has the same amount of rows, or typically has half of the amount of rows that it has stitches. So for example, half of 64 stitches is 32. So the heel flap has 32 rows, generally speaking. Now, I haven't knit every single sock pattern out there, but the ones that I have knit have all been consistent like that. And when I write sock patterns in the future, then that is also what I will do. So what I did for this sock is I went up to the 72 stitch count, which just meant that I did, half of 72 is 36. So I did 36 rows for my heel flap instead of just 32. And then I did the heel tone as normal. And then I picked up a few extra stitches for the gusset because I picked up one per one for every 2 rows of the heel flap, and then 1 extra to close up any holes. So, and I think this is true. Yeah. So, yeah, and what that did is it just made it to where it fit over his heel. My dad has a pretty big heel, and so it fit over that really nicely, and it's snug in that area, but it's not too tight. So, really happy with that modification. It's definitely one that I'm gonna continue to do for his socks. It's actually one that I need to do for my brother's socks as well. So, really love these. So happy they're done. I'm so happy that he loves them as much as he does, and now I can sneak them back to him after I finish filming the rest of this episode. Ooh, the blockers just fell. Alrighty, so I also have another pair of finished socks. Last week I also talked about how I was working on my first ever sock test knit. These are the Sporty Shorty socks, which is a pattern by Perfectly Knotted. I love these so much. They were so much fun to knit. I loved everything about the pattern. They have this arch support feature that is just genius and so comfortable. Oh my goodness. I have pretty high arches. I was a dancer for a long time, and so that kind of that definitely helped with that situation, but then my arches are just pretty high in general. So having that arch support is just so comfortable and provides so much extra support to my sock, and it is so comfy. I love it. So yeah, I used 2 colors of Knit Picks Stroll for these socks. The mustard is the colorway Treasure, and the gray is the color Cobblestone Heather. And I love them. So this pattern is going to be released later this month. It's not secret, so I can talk about it a little bit, but I will of course talk about them more when the pattern releases. And yeah, overall I absolutely love them. They did not take much yarn at all. I actually think I have enough left over to where I could do opposite, like do gray for like the majority of the foot and then do the stripes in the mustard. I think that would be super cute, so I might do that in the future. I also have another combination. Let me just show it to you. I really think that these 2 would make such a gorgeous pairing as well. This is Knit Picks Stroll Tweed and Rabbit Heather, and then this one is Rainstorm Heather. So I think those would be so gorgeous as well. I also really want to do like a solid pair. So without the stripes, but still do like the arch support and things like that. So we'll have to see. And I will link this yarn and these sock blockers down below if you want to check them out on Knit Picks. But yeah, really love these. I used a size 1 2.25 millimeter needle, and then I did the smallest size. So yeah, they turned out perfectly. I love them. Alrighty, I have one more finished object to share, and that is this version of my Best Dude beanie. So this is a pattern that I recently kind of re-released and updated last Friday and put it out there for free. So you can now head over and download that pattern for free in my Ravelry shop. But yeah, so I made this version and I love it so much. So I used Knit Picks Simply Wool in the color Wordsworth and Wanda. I have a review for this yarn if you want to check it out. I can link it below, and I will also link the yarn in the description box below. But yeah, this is just a super simple 2x2 ribbed beanie with decreases at the crown, and I just love the way that they look. Yeah, it's a really simple pattern. I know a lot of you loved it and are looking forward to making it, and that makes me so happy. So yeah, I actually haven't put this on yet. Maybe I'll do that here live. So generally speaking, it's designed to like, yeah, you can see why, to fold up the brim like this. So that's what it looks like on me. Now it looks better on a man, which is why I named it the Best Dude beanie. And my brother actually modeled it in the pictures on Instagram, so you can check those out if you want. But yeah, really love this. I love making it. It was pretty quick. Obviously ribbing, takes a little while, but the way that this fits is totally worth that extra time spent doing ribbing instead of just stockinette stitch. So yeah, okay, that is it for finished objects. I have quite a few things to talk about. yeah, I'm really happy that I was able to get all of those things done, and I am eagerly anticipating finishing my current works in progress, which I'm going to talk about right now. Alrighty, so I have 2 works in progress that I'm going to talk with you guys about today. I am still working on my January socks, which is something that I talked about last week, but I have not worked on them at all this week because I have been putting all of my time into finishing Dad's socks, finishing those socks that I was test knitting, and now I'm in the process of testing another pair, which actually by the time this comes out you will have already seen, which is crazy. That means I have a lot of knitting to do, but I'm not mad about that. It'll totally get done. So this sock is the first of my sock test knit that I am doing for Julie of Twin Stitches Designs. I have test knit for her before. I have talked about her before. I just love her as a maker and friend. She's just so inspiring. But anyway, so this is her Tale of Three Brothers sock, I believe is what it is going to be called. And this is a cabled sock. So I'm actually going to put it on this sock blocker so that you can really see the cables a bit better. They tend to kind of come together on themselves a little bit. So that's why it looks weird when I'm just knitting it. But this is what it looks like. And this color is not showing up very accurately. This is Knit Pick Stroll in the colorway Pumpkin. And it's actually the most gorgeous burnt orange. But it's showing up a little bit too bright on camera. So here's what the cables look like regardless. So here's one cable. Here's the other. And then down the center you have this like mock cable. I just love these so much. They're going so well. They're taking a little bit longer than I originally anticipated just because of the cables. It kind of slows me down a little bit to have to use a cable needle with this small of a needle and yarn pairing. But I love the way these look so much that it is totally worth it. And you can see I am so close to finishing this first one. So I just have a few rows left. And then I will move on to the toe. I can actually compare the two here. Let's see. So I have about this much more to go, which is like 8 rows maybe. And then I will do the toe. So this one is almost done. I just have to have one sock done for the test. So it's very close to being complete, which is fabulous. I have to get my notes to her. So I'm very glad that this is almost done. It was a really quick turnaround time, so she kind of expected it to be going to the last minute. But yeah, I'm grateful that she is gracious enough to let it be okay if we only have one sock done. That being said, I can't wait to knit the other one, and I'm going to as soon as I finish this first one. I'm just pretty certain that I'm not going to be able to knit the entire sock today, especially since we have plans this afternoon. But anyway, so that is this sock so far. I'm using, again, size 1 2.25 millimeter needles. And yeah, knitting the smallest size of the 56 stitch count. And I just love them. I love the way they look on screen too. I haven't really put it on the sock marker yet, so I just love the way it looks. I can't wait to wear these. They're going to be so cozy. I think they're going to, so the boots that I have are pretty short, and I think these are going to stick up just a little bit. And I think that's going to be so cute. So that's my plan for these. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to finishing them. I'm also very curious to see if I have enough yarn to knit the entire second one. So I have more of this yarn, so I'm not worried about actually running out. But I'm curious to see, because this is just a 50 gram ball. So if I can get like a full pair of socks like this out of one ball, that is awesome. Like, that is such a good price point and such a crazy amount of knitting for just one ball of yarn. So I'm hoping that it works out that way. If it doesn't, it's totally okay because I have another ball right here. But yeah, we'll have to see. I'm eager to see how that turns out. So yeah, absolutely love those socks. And then my last work in progress is my weekender. So this is mainly my Make 30 for 30 project, which I talked about last week. However, I have not put much work into it at all this week because, again, I have been working on all of those socks. However, I am hoping that as soon as I finish that sock for Julie, I will be able to spend 30 minutes a day working on this again, and it's going to be done so soon. I only need, like, I'm thinking 3 days. I need 3 days to finish it, 1 day to finish, like, the, maybe 2 days to finish the sleeve, and then 1 day is going to be spent blocking it, and weaving in the ends and all that jazz. But here's what it looks like so far. This is a pattern by Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits. I am knitting the extra small size, and this is, I love this yarn in the color Scarlet Rose, I believe, and I love it. So I am working on the second sleeve, and you can see I am very well into it. I don't know why it's picking up. I should look into that. So I split, I had to join a new skein of yarn right about here, apparently, because, yep, right here, and I, like, was not even paying attention, but there was totally a difference between this skein and the other one. So you can see on camera, it's picking up a lot harsher on camera than it does in real life, but there's definitely some more, like, off-white in this skein than this skein. So I'm gonna have to look at that and see if I have another skein of this yarn. That's interesting. But I'm also totally not worried about it. It's okay if it looks like that. I'll probably just go with it, honestly. But I love this thing so much. I can't wait to wear it. It's going to be so cozy. And I want to get it done as soon as possible because the weather is still nice and cold here, which I'm so grateful for. And I really want to be able to wear it soon. So that is that sweater. It's going great. I'm just hoping to be able to have a little bit more time this week to invest in it. Alrighty, so that is it for works in progress. Now I have just a couple things that I want to talk about with designs, so let's go ahead and do that. Alrighty, so for design talk today, I just wanted to mention my brand new pattern, and that is the Comfort in the Woods beanie. So I have a separate video all about this beanie. If you want to check it out, I will link it down below. But I just love this little thing so much, and I'm so happy that so many of you love it too. These colors are Knit Picks Muse. This pink is called Affection Tonal, and then this blue is Savvy Tonal. And I just love it so much. I'm so happy that this release was successful and that all of y'all enjoyed it and liked it and downloaded it when it was free, and they chose to support me as well when it was that extra percentage off, just to continue the promotion. And I'm so excited about it. So I'm really happy that this beanie is finally out to you guys. It is my first ever colorwork design. I'm already working on some more colorwork designs, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I've learned so much through this design and through designing colorwork shorts in general, and I'm really excited to see where that journey continues to take me. Another thing that I'm working on with designs is actually submissions. So We Crochet announced that they were accepting submissions for their Winter 2021 magazine, which is so exciting, and I am currently working on a few submissions on the side for that, and we'll see what happens. I am, trying to stay excited about it and also maintain low expectations. And I don't mean that to sound like, I don't know, disappointed or something. However, I did submit some patterns late last year, for one of their other issues this year. And I worked really, really hard on them. I was extremely confident in the design ideas and in the proposals, and just everything about it. I was very confident about it. I was, to be quite frank, I was really convinced that it was what the Lord had for me in the next step of my design career. And unfortunately, they didn't get accepted, and it was really hard to hear. I was disappointed about it. It's just, even though it's totally understandable, they had so many designs, and I'm sure the magazine is going to be amazing. It's just so hard to hear that your designs, aren't what they wanted, and you put all of that effort into them to try to make it what they wanted. So I'm working on some more for this call. We'll see what happens, but I have already made changes to just the way that I've kind of conducted myself this time, and the way that I have, written the submission, made the layout, all of the little behind the scenes things that go into creating a submission like this. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of work for something that you aren't even sure if it's going to happen, which is scary. It's definitely scary, especially when you're limited on time as it is. It's hard to put your work into something that you're not sure what's going to come out of it. However, I am, trying to stay positive and stay committed and motivated to try to achieve this little dream of mine. I cannot even begin to express how amazing it would be to have one accepted, but we're just going to have to wait and see. So I'm working on that behind the scenes, so that is why I don't have too much to share with you for designs this week. But I do have some more designs coming out soon, so stay tuned for those. I am so excited for everything that's coming up in 2021, and I hope that you guys are too. So with that, let's go ahead and hop into a devotional. Alrighty, so I wanted to do something just a little bit different for devotion today, and that is reading directly from the Word. So I am working my way through 1 Corinthians. It's something that I just started this week. I'm kind of trying to, I make it a goal. Let me start by saying this. I make it a goal to read my Bible every day. And what I want to do is read it, twice. Once in the morning and once in the evening, right when I wake up and right before I go to bed. And in the morning, I'm on a consistent schedule of working my way through the entire Bible. It is a 2-year plan, so it's really long. It takes 2 years to complete by its definition. However, I wanted to do something that was a little bit more intentional, and not that that isn't intentional, but I wanted to do something else too, I guess. So I'm doing a devotional that is also so good. And so I'm working through that and just kind of doing a bunch of different things. And that's something that I've really come to enjoy. However, I was reading through 1 Corinthians chapter 3 one night before bed. And this passage just really stood out to me. And I have it like all marked up in my Bible, and I've underlined it. And it just really, it really spoke to me in the moment. And so I wanted to share it with you guys. And then I'll talk about it for just a second. So I am actually going to read 1 Corinthians 3 verses 10 through, 17. So it's, a little bit of a passage. So I just encourage you to kind of listen and take it to heart. So this is written in a letter to a church from Paul. So, according to God's grace that was given to me, I have laid a foundation as a skilled master builder, and another builds on it. But each one is to be careful how he builds on it. For no one can lay any other foundation than what has been laid down. That foundation is Jesus Christ. If anyone builds on the foundation with gold, silver, costly stones, wood, hay, or straw, each one's work will become obvious. For the day will disclose it, because it will be revealed by fire. The fire will test the quality of each one's work. If anyone's work that he has built survives, he will receive a reward. If anyone's work is burned up, he will experience loss. But he himself will be saved, but only as through fire. Don't you yourselves know that you are God's temple, and that the Spirit of God lives in you? If anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy him. For God's temple is holy, and that is what you are. Now, I have read and reread this passage multiple times since when I first read it that night, and every time I read it, something else stands out to me. So originally it was verse 11 that really caught my eye, and that is when he's saying, for no one can lay any other foundation than what has been laid down. And what I got from that is just how important building a strong foundation in the Lord really is. We all know that we live in a broken world. We live in a sinful world, and we have ever since the first sin was committed by Adam and Eve. But it's not, it's not just Adam and Eve's fault. If Adam and Eve didn't sin, someone else would have sinned. And I think we all know that. And it's impossible for us to be perfect. But at the same time, through the power and the grace of Jesus Christ and the gift that God has given us through him, we don't have to continue to live in that sin. We can choose to build a foundation that isn't built on sin, but is built on God's grace through our sin. So we know that we can live a life that pleases Him because we can take that foundation and, use it as a foundation for the rest of our lives. Something else that really stood out to me was how everybody's foundation is going to be tested. Now, in this case, Paul is talking about how it's going to be tested by fire, but I kind of thought of that to mean that it's going to be tested by life in general. As much as it's scary to admit, we are promised hardship. We're going to endure hard things in this life. It's a part of living in this broken world. But the way that we conduct ourselves through those hardships and the way that we come out of them shows who we truly are and shows what our foundation is truly built on. If we leave, that hardship shaken and broken down and destroyed, then we know that our hardship is built. What we want to be built on Jesus was really built on the world. And what we want our foundation to look like is to be able to come out of a hard situation or hardship and be stronger, be more confident in the Lord, more strong in your beliefs, and more devoted to Him and what He has for you. And then another thing that really stood out to me, now this is just talking about kind of 1 Corinthians in general, is this is the same Paul that was Saul. And there is something so powerful in that statement in and of itself. So if you aren't familiar, Saul was a persecutor. He persecuted Christians. He wanted them dead. He wanted them killed. He didn't want them to live. But then God confronted him, and he became a Christian, and his name was changed to Paul. And he then completely turned his life around and spent the rest of his life, talking about Jesus Christ and sharing it with as many people as he could. And that goes to show you that even if you build a foundation that is built on the world and built on things that are broken and fallen and sinful, you have the opportunity through the grace of Jesus Christ to rebuild that foundation. And that's something that I kind of believe all of us are going to do at some point. You're going to go through something that shakes you. Whether it is something powerful enough that really shakes your foundation and breaks it and makes you have to rebuild it on something that is more powerful, or if it's something that just makes your foundation stronger, you're going to go through it. And I don't mean that to be discouraging or disappointing in any way. I just want to always be upfront and honest and say that we're going to go through hard things, but those hard things can be just as beautiful as the great, joyful things that we're going to happen too. We're able to take joy in everything, in every hardship and every bad situation, and that is something that I am still learning what that actually means, and will continue to for the rest of my life, because there's going to be disappointments and hard things that happen in the future that haven't happened yet. And I'm choosing not to be scared of those things, because I know that as a Christian and as someone who wants to continue to build their life on the Lord, those hard things will just make me be that much closer to Him. So I just want to remind you that no matter what you're facing, what you have done, what you will do, what your foundation is built on now, that God is there for you, and He will never leave or forsake you. He's always right there, ready for you to build that strong foundation in Him and ready to come running toward Him. So I know that was a little bit longer of a devotion than usual, but I hope you still enjoyed it and that it was encouraging to you. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed it, what you kind of took from it, because I always want to keep that conversation going. Now, a little bit of a life update before I sign off. I talked about last week how school was starting back, and it went so good. I'm so incredibly grateful for the college that I am attending, and how even though there are hefty precautions being upheld because of the whole coronavirus situation, I'm so grateful that I have 2 of my classes in person, and just how good those 2 classes are. I'm also very grateful that I was able to get to campus on time and correctly, which was something that I was very nervous about, just because it's, they've kind of, I don't know how to say it, because obviously they haven't moved buildings. That makes no sense. But the campus itself has just rerouted it in a sense. Like there's one entrance and one exit per like side. So like, you know, you're driving on the highway and then there's like half of it on this side and half of it on this side, and they have one entrance here, one entrance here, and one exit here, and one exit here. And so it's kind of difficult to learn. You know, once you know it, it's actually really simple because you go in through the entrance, you go out through the exit, and that's easy. But learning where that entrance and exit is difficult, especially when you know, are using a GPS that doesn't know that there's only one entrance and one exit right now. But luckily, you know, there's a couple signs. They make it, well, trying to make it obvious. I think they could have done a little bit better in some good, but that's totally okay. It's not how it was designed to be, so you have to give them grace for that. But I'm so grateful for my professors. I'm so grateful for a great first school week. It's kind of crazy how different it's been so far. I think the workload is going to be a little bit easier this semester. Watch me completely contradict that here in a couple months, but hopefully I'm on the right track to, you know, actually upholding that statement. Last semester was really difficult, and I think I took the two hardest classes that I'm going to have my entire college career last semester. So there's that. But I think that easy is a really strong word. I don't think they're going to be easy. I actually already know they're not going to be easy. But they're going to be doable. And that is all I need, to be quite honest. So it's been a good week, and I hope that you are having a good week so far and that you continue to have a great week. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, you can find all of the links to the things that I talked about and the show notes in the description box below. So be sure to check those out. And I will talk to you all next time. Bye.